So Murmaider, number 5, sir.
My number, excuse me, my number 5 band was Phallic.
Really? Phallic coming in at number 5.
Yeah, Where Distant Spirits Remain. That is just an album that I can listen over and over and over again, and it just never gets old to me, and it's always, I don't know, the delivery and performance in that album was just great. And my favorite track, we have a couple friends that like this track, was the last one, was not even really a full song, it was just like a piano outro for a good 3 minutes long, and it was just that outro is just beautiful. But the whole album was just, it's awesome, definitely awesome. So I had to put it in my top 5.
Yep, really nice guys too.
Yeah.
Did an interview with both of them, and it was really enjoyable. Their accents are very thick.
Yeah.
Thick Scottish accents. Well, beginning my top 5, I went with I'm going to call it a classic because it's from a band that I don't think we'll ever be sick of this band. So number 5 for me was Draconian, A Rose for the Apocalypse.
Nice.
And again, I wasn't sure it was going to make it with all the other stuff, but fuck, man, I can't leave these guys
I know,
off.
man. That's a great album.
I remember hearing the song, I think it was The Last Hour of Ancient Sunlight first, and thinking, wow, this fucking shit it's ballin', son.
Yeah.
It's like diamonds in your food. It makes your dookie twinkle. But it's
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know that feeling.
It's the typical Draconian formula, that great death doom, but I thought they let Lisa Johansson let her voice come through more. She's singing along really with the male vocal rather than separate from, and I thought that was what really brought it home for me.
Yep.
So I agree. Again, I can't say enough about this album, Rose for the Apocalypse, and that was on my mid-year list too. I think it might have been in the same position too, but definitely a good one. So now marching on to number 4, Murmaider.
Well, my number 4 was actually in your list already, Appalachian Winter.
All right.
I had to put them in, and they are, like you said, the album is just, it's so good. Like, it really is. Dan Klein is just, he's a very talented guy, and the writing on that was just amazing. I love his clean vocals, and then going back and forth between the growls, and just everything about that album. It was so, I'm going to use the word epic.
Yes,
it was just so epic. But
it's so funny because doing the interview with him, his interview was a lot of fun and it was great. And he told us numerous times that he hates doing vocals.
Yeah,
hates it, can't stand it. That it's like hard for him, and that he's clutching his chest to try to get it. But the vocals are so fucking good.
Yeah,
they really are. And you're like you said, the clean vocals, the dirty vocals, the growls, the screams, it's all there.
Yeah,
and I mean the instrumentation's great, and guy's great.
Yeah, no, that's definitely an album that I know I'll always go back to. It's all his work is really good.
He's got new stuff coming, but we'll talk about that next week. Okay. That's not for now. Well, I had a hard time when I got to number 4.
Yeah.
So I ended up with an album that I'm sure is in your top 3. Ended up with Mastodon's The Hunter.
Who's that?
Yeah, I know you. Most of you guys have probably never heard of this band. They're so underground. We're like metal hipsters, We go for the underground stuff. We knew Mastodon before they were popular. But anyway, Mastodon's The Hunter. And when it first came out, I wasn't sure about it. Remember, I was saying that coming from Crack the Sky, where it was all one long story, this was just a track here, a track there. None of the tracks are related. But then I just listened, and you take the first 5 tracks. Black Tongue, Curl of the Burl, Blasteroids, Stargasm, Octopus Has No Friends. Unfucking real.
I know.
Those 5 songs are probably better than 5 songs on just about any other album I heard this year.
I know.
So I just can't keep them down, man. I can't keep Mastodon out of the top 5. They're taking my number 4 spot, and even though we missed them this last time, you were sick and I'm a moron. We'll catch them the next time out, and I can't wait to hear these songs live. Which brings me to you at number 3.
Speaking of Mastodon, my number 3 is actually Mastodon.
Oh shit! Oh, look at that! That's amazing.
That's probably the closest that we're gonna get to albums for our top 10s.
Yeah, definitely.
But the other songs I want to mention on there, that after the ones that you just went through, Bedazzled Fingernails.
Yes.
Is another one of my favorite songs on that album. And strangely enough, I actually really enjoy Creature a lot. Creature Lives. It's a weird song, but I always go back to that track before I'm done listening to it, and I don't know. I just like listening to it. It's just, it's something different. I guess it's. I mean, really,
it's a lot
different.
more lighthearted than their previous albums. It's not as.
I mean, it's not.
Heavy.
Yeah, it's not them. It's definitely a different sound coming from them. But Creature Lives is, I don't know. I really like that song. I mean, at first when I heard it, I was just like, "What the fuck is this? Fuck out of here!
Fuck out of here, Amsterdam!"
Yeah.
Well, I knew it was going to be up there for you. Now I'm getting curious what your top 2 are.
Right?
This is kind of crazy. I ended up with number 3, and this one wasn't even a question. Project Masquerade. Nothing But Everything Will Remain. This album has dominated my CD player a lot since it came out. Absolutely a lot. Newt Smeets, the guitarist, put the whole thing together. This was kind of his, I'm not going to call it a solo project, but it was his vision. And he got a bunch of guest vocalists. And I cannot say enough about this fucking album. The vocalists are great. The best part is that it's a guitar-heavy album, but it's not just, oh, look what I can play. Oh, look, here's another solo. It's all cohesive music.
Right.
Actually, my favorite track on here, Killer of Life, is on our sampler, which I can't tell you how fucking happy I am about that. But it's just a great album, and I can't say enough for him and for what he put together, and the fact that he took his time. He took 3 years to put this album together. He didn't give up on it. He didn't scrap it. He just worked on it for 3 years until he thought it was ready, and I think he did a great job. So Project Masquerade, Nothing But Everything Will Remain. Fuck yeah, motherfucker. Now that brings us down to our top 2s.
Yes.
So, what do you have at number 2?
Well, my speaking of 3 years, taking an album 3 years to come out, it took this band 3 years before they came out with their album, and you already mentioned it, Draconian.
Draconian, yeah!
That was for the Apocalypse.
Fuck yeah.
Following Turning Season Within, I wasn't sure what direction they were going to go, and this album is just fucking great. And like you said, I mean, Draconian's been one of my favorite bands for a while now.
Pretty much since you got into metal.
Yeah, they really have been. And for a doom metal band, those guys, they make some perfect music.
They really do. I can't say enough about that band. Their albums, their whole catalog.
Yeah,
it's exactly what you want, and it just never ends. It just keeps getting better by the day.
Yeah, and it's like each album is different, but they all deliver like similar sounds or similar structure. I don't know how to explain it, but you'll get something different in each album.
Yeah, no, you're right.
At the same time, they have that sound, in each one.
I mean, it's obviously a death doom album every time, but You're right. Each album has a little signature sound to it that you're not going to find on the others.
Yeah.
Now, my number 2, you actually already mentioned. My number 2 is going to be Phallic, Where Distant Spirits Remain.
Nice.
That definitely got a lot of play for me. And while I love that closing track, Solace, my favorite songs are the first 2, We Are Gathering Dust and Beyond Embers and the Earth, which those 2 songs are just equal parts heavy and melodic, and I just couldn't get enough of that stuff. And as you said before, they're just great albums, and they incorporated the Scottish instrumentation, and I thought that was great. And for a band that's so young, they've only been a band for a year. They already have a deal with Candlelight Records. This is just the beginning, and I have a feeling that it's only going to get better from here. So it's it's fucking great, just fucking great. So now, Murmaider,
you ready for my number 1?
All right, here we go, Murmaider. It is time for your number 1 album, and it is.
This is where I add the drum rolls. It's actually it's Nightwish.
Oh,
my number
shit,
1.
Nightwish!
Yes, the new album, Imaginarium. I've been listening to it nonstop ever since I got the album, and it's ridiculous. The album is ridiculous. It's so good, and it's everything that I ever wanted and more from this band coming off of Dark Passion Play in 2007. It took them 4 years, but that's fine. I know they're doing a lot of touring and whatnot, but I'm glad they put some time into it to come out with this album. And it is just, it's damn near perfect to this album. It's great. The one song that I love is Turn Loose the Mermaids.
And you've been bothering me about that.
It's so good. It's just so good. That and then the song after, Rest Calm. Those 2 songs really caught my eye when I first listened through to the whole thing. But I can really listen to that album 24/7 if I choose. It's just that good.
Confession, I still haven't listened to it.
No?
Nope, still haven't listened, and I am regretting it, but I will get there, I promise. It's just, with everything going on, haven't had all that much time to things in my personal life. Fair enough. So, I didn't get to listen to it, but I have a feeling that it's going to be, a heavy rotation album when I get there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Nightwish, huh?
Yeah,
and that's you got to think about what happened to them over the course of 4 years. Dark Passion Play came out. They toured for basically over a year nonstop.
Right.
They had all those problems with Annette. She was going to hire an agent. Weren't sure what was going to happen there.
Yeah.
Then they had this whole concept, and there's a movie with this album too. It's all going to come out in some sort of feature film form. And then she got sick, and we actually missed them the last time because she was sick.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew what was going to happen? She was going to do a solo album too, and then you get the album you were waiting for.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about was how she was going to sound on this album. I wasn't sure what they were gonna do with her, or how she was gonna sound. But I think she sounds amazing. I think she sounds even better in this album than she did in Dark Passion Play. I feel like Dark Passion Play, she was just starting to get comfortable and warming up to the mic, and this album she just it was just amazing.
Well, I think that's absolutely right. I think the last one was kind of her almost like an initiation.
Yeah. And
then this is like her first real experience.
I feel like you can tell she's a lot more calm in this one, a lot more confident.
Definitely, I'd look forward to seeing them live again just to see how she's evolved as a front woman.
Oh yeah.
And that leads me to my number one album,
which no one cares about. So we're actually going to stop the recording right now.
Cut the blue wire.
Just kidding.
So there's been a lot of press about this album, a lot of overwhelming reviews.
All right, hold on. Let me cut you off here. This is 2011 albums, Daryl. I know, Crack the Sky. You want to keep that on there, but that's not this year. You're gonna have to do something else there.
Well, no, actually,
believe me, I had the same problem.
It's not that at all.
Yeah.
It is a new album, just came out. Korn, The Path of Totality. No.
Oh my God! I was like,
no,
fuck out of here. I'm leaving.
Though I have to say, what was it? Revolver. Was it Revolver
magazine.
Named that as their album of the year?
Yep.
And that is a magazine none of you ever need to read again.
No.
But actually, my number one album is going to be Junius, Reports from the Threshold of Death. As you mentioned before, I've been listening to this shit just nonstop.
Yep.
And I was listening to our sampler on my way home today, and then I got home. When I went to start writing, went right to the computer, boom, Junius. And I have nothing but good things to say about this album.
Yep.
And, they're just good. They're just fucking good.
Yeah, I can't wait for more of their stuff. I don't know, everything that they've come out with so far is I've really enjoyed the stuff that I own.
Yeah, it sucks to like an album this much, though, because then you have to wait for the next one.
Yeah, right.
And who knows what's going to happen, and I mean, it's going to be a while, obviously, but this one definitely is going to stick with me for a while. And I think that if anyone hasn't heard Junius before, pick up the new album and just hit play.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time Betray the Grave is over, you'll be a fan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just don't even think it's...
I agree.
And then, there isn't a bad song on here, and I think that's what makes it so good for me, is that you can just hit play and just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to like every song on there, some slow, some fast, and I couldn't resist. This was everything I wanted it to be, and it was a real big surprise. I think that's the best part of our list, is that there's those bands that we kind of knew were going to make it, Nightwish, Draconian, bands like that, and then there were the bands that we had never heard before, or the bands that just crept on there, between Junius and Phallic and Appalachian Winter. We had a good mix of new and old.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best part of doing this site and keeping up with all this stuff, is that we get it all. And so there it is. There's our big ones. And
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. And we'll start the new year again. Fresh podcast next week, you motherfuckers.
Yep.
Look for the sampler on the site so you can kind of hear some of the songs that got us into some of these bands. And if you have beef with our list,
take it to the kitchen.
Take it to the kitchen.